Learning and development has always been a cornerstone of organizational growth, ensuring employees are equipped with the right skills to meet ever changing demands. But as businesses grapple with rapid technological advancements, globalization, and even shifting workforce expectations, traditional learning and development methods are being reimagined. Now, let's enter artificial intelligence and innovation that's making personalized, data driven, and scalable learning a reality. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Analytics Insight podcast, where we explore the latest trends shaping industries and how technology is redefining the way we work. And I'm your host, Priya Dayalani. Now, the use of AI in learning and development has gained popularity due to its personalized, efficient, and data driven learning experiences. And it has the power to change learning and development altogether. And with more rapid advancements in AI tools and systems, there is a belief that enterprises will be able to enhance their training and deliver more effective, unique, and impactful experiences. Now, joining me today to break down these shifts is John Cherian, co-founder and CEO of Enparadigm. Hi, John. Welcome to our podcast today.
Yeah, hi Priya. Pleasure to be on this podcast with you.
Great, great. We are equally thrilled to have you here. And of course, we will be diving deeper into the impact or, how artificial intelligence is bringing significant transformation in the L&D landscape. But before that, we would like to know more about N Paradigm. If you could help us understand about the company, its specialization, or any particular solution the company is offering.
Yeah, so Priya, maybe let me speak a little bit about Enparadigm now. We've always positioned ourselves as a strategic talent transformation partner for global enterprises worldwide. So the kind of clients that we usually work with are large Fortune 2000 organizations, have thousands of employees on their roles in different roles, different functions, and different geographies. And therefore, managing talent, building talent capability becomes a fairly challenging task for them, right? And that is where we build solutions to help them do this job more effectively.
Great, quite interesting, John. Thank you for sharing that. And of course, since we discussed about N Paradigm, we would also like to know more about you, John. So, if you could tell us more about yourself, how has the journey been till date? What exactly is your role here at N Paradigm, and probably what triggered your interest in N Paradigm?
Yeah, so the story started, when during my MBA campus days, we were trying to build something nice for a business school festival, like a corporate war game or a strategy game. And in the process of doing that, we ended up building uh, an airline simulation where you have different teams competing. Every team in the simulation can set up an airline. They can, set up flight routes, do pricing, look at fuel efficiencies, look at the P&L, etc., etc., and then run that business of an airline while competing with each other in a simulated environment, right? And as we built that, there were a lot of people who came to us and said that this is something that can be monetized. And both my co-founder Vitrag and me, we were both looking at starting a business out of campus, right? So this business brings together our technology chops because both of us are computer science engineers before that. It also brings in our business understanding and also very equally and very importantly our passion for learning, right? So both of us worked in large tech companies before we went for an MBA. And in what we noticed in many of these large corporations was that if you have say 10 people in a project, only one person was really pulling the horsepower of the project, while the other 9 people were also part of the team but weren't as productive as part of that one person, right? So we felt what is the solution that can help make people more productive at the workplace? How do we unlock the potential of talent, and how do we help a lot of people do better at the workplace? And we broke down that problem statement into many sub problems, right? That maybe when you join a large organization, there is no one to tell you what to do very clearly. There's no one to break down a complex problem into a simpler problem. And for many concepts that you need to apply at the workplace, you don't understand exactly how those concepts work because no one has introduced you to the fundamentals, right? So we started out to solve this problem, and this business is about bringing together all these different areas: our business acumen, as well as our technology chops, and all of that resulted in what is today called Enparadigm.
Great, really inspired by your journey, and it's quite interesting to see the passion that you guys bring at N Paradigm. Moving ahead, initially I discussed about how artificial intelligence is trying to change or transform the L&D sector. So I think C-suite leaders specifically value AI and learning and development separately. Yet many do not see how one is affected by the other because while 3 and 4 executives would keep or increase their spend on AI and learning and development in response to financial pressure, most executives think that Gen AI will inhibit learning rather than enhance it. So increasingly, the legacy model of corporate learning and development teams, takes weeks or even months to produce and deliver content. Now, often in a one size fits some format with a very limited shelf life. These content pieces are, and I think it's no longer fit for purpose in today's age. But thanks to AI, we now have a more dynamic and a flexible future beckons. So we want to understand from you what are certain key challenges that organizations are facing today in shaping their learning and development strategies, and how do you think that they can address them?
Yeah, so we believe in a human plus AI model, right? And that's something to be stated right up front, right? So human beings, human experts bring in the domain expertise, they bring in the contextual understanding and the nuances of every industry and role. While AI brings in the ability to scale this up, make it more personalized, make it more immersive, etc., etc. Right? And fundamentally, all AI models are learning from all the knowledge that human beings have already created and documented. Right? So, how do you bring the best of both these worlds together when you're creating learning solutions? This has been our constant endeavor in the last few years. And as a part of this process, we are able to see how you take a core concept, and for different industries and different roles, how do we create very personalized and immersive scenarios for rendering this concept in those respective contexts, right? For example, are you building selling skills for a salesperson in a bank, or are you building selling skills for a salesperson in an insurance company, in a bank assurance channel, or maybe in an agency channel, right? So and so on and so forth, right? The core concepts of selling may be similar, but the approach to selling, the nuances, the products they are selling, the kind of customers they are meeting, the customer needs they are solving for, all of these change. And this is where AI can really move the needle for organizations, right? Historically, it's been pretty costly to produce very tailored content for organizations because one, you need human expertise, and that expertise comes at a cost. There's a speed at which a human being can create and produce content, and also tailor it for the organization's need. And now those barriers are definitely being broken down. So we are able to see very tailored content being created at a much faster pace. So that's point number one. Point number two is most people at the workplace, ultimately, I believe companies are not really investing in learning solutions. What companies want is people who can do the job, right? So there's a job to be done. Who can do the job well? And learning is only a part of that flow of making someone do the job better. And from a learning standpoint, a person can do the job well when they have been trained in that particular context of the job. Many times in the past, we've given generic learning skills, and the transfer of learning to the workplace always suffers, right? So a person may understand what a concept is, but applying that concept to the specific problems and challenges of their job role at the point in time it has to be applied many times fails. And that is today where AI can really help. That's the second part of AI, which is about making bite-sized, just-in-time learning experiences at the point of time of need, and in the context of the user, for the kind of problem statement that the user needs to solve, right? So combining both these two, personalization and immersive experiences, and making them also very bite-sized, and these are the three main aspects where AI is able to help in shifting the needle towards uh, more impactful and effective learning solutions.
Very well said, and thank you for giving a comprehensive understanding of the challenges that organizations are facing today in terms of how they can enhance the learning and development initiatives across the organization. And of course, like you mentioned, AI plays a critical role here. But we would, like to understand more about the role of AI, in that, because I think over the past decade, corporate learning and development has undergone significant shifts because earlier we used to have a traditional classroom-based training, and now we have online modules, we have gamified platforms, and now thanks to AI, we can now have more personalized learning paths as well. So, how do you think that AI is transforming these traditional approaches in the corporate learning and development, and giving an experience to employees that kind of helps them get more interest or get more involved in the learning and development processes?
So let's take and understand what a personalized learning pathway really is, right? You take any corporate skill. For example, how do I, very simple example, how do I give feedback to another person at the workplace? Now, a typical learning solution will say that when you want to give feedback, keep these 4 points in mind. And these are the do's and the don'ts of giving feedback. And if you violate these do's and don'ts, then for each do and don't, there is a specific repercussion that may happen. Right? So this is typically what we may learn when we look at the skill or the competence of giving feedback. Now, what AI can do for you is to say that, hey, here's a situation. Why don't you speak to a virtual avatar in the situation and give the virtual avatar feedback, right? And the virtual avatar may be role playing your reportee or your colleague or some other stakeholder of yours. And what AI can do is to give you feedback on almost each and every sentence that you've given us feedback and say, when you said this, this is what you sounded like to the other person. And instead of this, perhaps you could have worded your conversation in this manner. Now, that is a very, very high level of personalization, which is quite close to a human coach sitting right next to you, observing you, and giving you just-in-time feedback for the specific objective that you are trying to achieve, right? And this is obviously not possible in the pre-AI era, but now a lot of our tools are able to provide these kind of inputs. So when you talk about personalized learning pathways, one, what skill do you need as an individual? Which skills do you need in your role, in your workplace, given your org context? And secondly, when you are trying to apply that skill at the workplace, giving you very tailored feedback on how exactly you're applying and some suggestions on what you can do instead to become more effective. This is what hyper personalized learning today is all about.
Yeah, true. And I think that's very much needed in today's age where we are able to develop hyper personalized training and development modules and systems where employees are definitely more engaged, and we have more employee retention as well with these such innovative learning experiences. And again, I think it's really important for organizations also to keep up with these advancements, because the entire work environment is also changing rapidly. And of course, we have already seen the shift thanks to the pandemic era, where we have changed our patterns of working. Organizations, employees, everybody have changed in terms of the entire work environment today. So, and also, I was just going across this study, and it was LinkedIn's 2022 Workplace Learning Report, which states that opportunities to learn and grow are the top-rated culture drivers worldwide, and several US-based businesses are using artificial intelligence in learning and development to improve their employee training and skill development. So, we would like to, understand the impact with some real-world success stories. If you could share probably at Enparadigm as to how artificial intelligence has significantly enhanced learning and development outcomes for companies.
Yeah, so a lot of the work that we are doing with clients, we are able to give them very, very tailored experiences today. So if a client has a specific industry context and or specific roles in the customer's industry, people playing specific roles, and the specific business context that is there, that is where we are able to give them solutions. Maybe a couple of examples I can give you. A couple of our Singapore clients, the government has brought in stricter norms on How do you avoid mis-selling when you're mis-selling your financial products? And to fulfill those norms, the companies have come up with a framework called ethical selling, right? Now we've built solutions to help the salespeople sell within the guidelines of the ethical selling framework. And to do that, we give them situation scenarios where there are different products they can sell in a virtual environment, and as they go about selling the products, uh, our AI is able to give them feedback on whether they are able to meet the guidelines of the ethical selling framework. Right? So this is one example that I can give. Another example that I can give is where a client, given the market challenge of finding the right talent, they are now hiring a lot of frontline salespeople from other industries, and therefore they need those people to understand the basics of their industry first, and then go on to mastering advanced skills. Right. So being able to create tailored solutions where a person from another industry has to first master the nuances of the client's industry and then step up the ladder. So how do you tailor the learning solution to that specific objective, and how do you make it more relevant for the proficiency level of the learners who are new to that industry? That's the second use case. So there are on and on so many different use cases like this that AI is helping with.
Yeah, I agree with you, and thank you for sharing those use cases. I think our listeners would definitely benefit from them. I would also like to talk about the flip side, or probably you can say one of the challenges when you're trying to implement AI in learning and development is the data privacy and security issues that crop up, because we are kind of handling some sensitive information. Now, AI systems frequently capture personal data from employees, even including the learning behavior, some performance metrics, feedback, biometric data also. So, in such instances, if the data storage system is not secure, it can lead to unauthorized access or a data breach as well. So this will make it really necessary to implement robust and strong security measures. And of course, I think it's time for organizations to take data protection regulations like GDPR very seriously. So how can our companies address these concerns around data privacy and security, and um, gain employee trust in terms of implementing AI in learning?
So possibly three, four major areas have to be solved for here. Right. One is, where do you store the data? Are you storing the data within the country? Are you storing the data within a specific system that the client is comfortable with you storing the data? The second part is data anonymity, right? That privacy and anonymity go hand in hand, right? So if I, as a user, have given a specific input, when the input is sent to an AI system, any kind of an AI model, are we ensuring that the AI model doesn't know maybe who exactly has given that input? And are we able to anonymize the personally identifiable information of the user from the data that the AI needs to analyze and send back a response? Right. So that's point number two. And point number three is that of, how do you ensure that bias is taken care of over here as well? Uh, and how do we ensure that the AI model is able to give back a response which is the desired response to that particular scenario or question? So how do you debias? How do you have a human in the loop model where you're able to monitor the AI model's training and are able to probably correct for any deviations that may occur from the norm? Right. I think these are three very, very key things that you have to keep in mind.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's really crucial, especially in today's environment where the technology can be leveraged by bad actors as well, and they can fulfill their heinous crimes. I think data privacy should be on top of mind for both the organizations as well as employees. And like you said, I think transparency is also key here. It's really important that companies clearly communicate how data is being collected, used, and even protected. And it's also important to involve employees in the entire process, gather their feedback, and accordingly shape their strategies and initiatives. Moving ahead, I think when we're trying to implement AI. It currently takes huge teams of learning and development practitioners or experts to deliver learning programs. Now, those roles won't necessarily go away, but I think they're more likely to change focus towards responsibilities that AI can't fulfill. Now, one example is like architecture. So it's going to take humans to architect the AI tools altogether. Then also we have implementation, governance. So I think there are a lot of factors and a lot of different team members or different participants that come into picture when we are trying to implement AI. So, what advice would you like to give to organizations that are just starting out to explore AI in their learning and development programs?
Yeah, so I think the most basic use case for using AI is simply, generating. One is to generate content regarding a particular topic, right? Uh, that I have a topic. Can I know more about it? Right. That's the most basic use case, and your GPT-based tools are very easily able to provide you very tailored content for the specific concept that you're trying to look for. The next use case is that of being able to generate situations, scenarios, etc., which again, your basic AI tools, your GPT based models are able to provide you scenarios where you can make out that, for example, if I have to apply a skill in this context, what are the nuances of applying the skill? What does a good application look like? What does a poor application look like? Etc. Etc. Right. So these are basic use cases. And then we come to more higher order use cases where instead of it being a vanilla, text based kind of a system or a voice based system, are you able to also bring in an audio visual or an immersive element? Are you able to string together multiple services? Because to create a great user experience, you need to be able to create scenarios rapidly. You need to be able to tailor it to your workplace quickly. You need to be able to implement a voice to text engine or a text to voice engine or a voice, text to video, video to text engine, and you need to have maybe voice recognition. So there are different kind of solutions that you need to plug in together, right? And that is where it starts getting complex. And most organizations may not have the product thinking capability to put all these together, right? And that is where providers like us come in, where we productize the entire end-to-end stack, and we are able to then go to a client and then help them just achieve the use case that they're trying to solve for, using a tool where most of the needs of the client are already productized, right? So for example, in our tools you can just create simulated scenarios on the fly, and you can deploy them to your users on the fly in a jiffy, without having to worry about the nitty-gritties of what kind of specific AI are you using, how will the AI actually work, how will you configure the AI. I think a lot of this is provided out of the box for the client.
Right. Just like one quick question, John. So, like you mentioned, like Enparadigm being like a solution provider in terms of helping organizations adopt L&D tools and systems effectively. What are some of the challenges that probably you have come across when dealing with clients? Is it that you really have to change their mindset in terms of adopting these advanced technologies, or any challenge that you would like to share with us?
It really depends on the geography that we are dealing with. um, so I think in some geographies we find a little bit of AI phobia. And I can tell you in India, for example, clients are extremely receptive towards using AI. Clients are very receptive towards understanding what are the use cases of AI. And I think it's really for clients about being clear on what is the use case, who is the right partner to work with, and what kind of a solution can quickly plug into the ecosystem and create ROI for them quickly. Right? Wherever any of these don't happen well, clients will face challenges of investing money into something that is new, but where the clarity on creating an outcome or result for the business may not be there.
Of course, I think if you talk about India, we will definitely take a big, good amount of time to probably reach at a stage where, organizations have been able to get rid of their AI phobia, are more keen in terms of adopting such advanced technologies in their learning and development initiatives and projects. I mean, I think up until now, we have understood that. the use of artificial intelligence has significantly changed learning and development programs, and it kind of has a potential to transform how companies can conduct employee training as well as skill development. So one last question for you, John. How do you see the future of AI in learning and development?
So before I answer that question, I just want to reiterate again. I think India doesn't have AI phobia at all. India is among the foremost globally in terms of looking at where AI can be leveraged, right? And that is, as we talk to clients across North America, Europe, India, and the rest of Asia, we are finding that Indian users are very, very forward thinking about what they want to achieve from AI, right? So I just wanted to clarify
Great.
that India
You
doesn't
know,
have AI.
that's great. Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Okay, so your question was about the future of,
Future of, yeah, artificial intelligence in learning and development.
yeah. So I think as you go move forward, we are finding that the ability to uh, create the right learning solution, the right form factor for the specific personalized need and use case of each individual learner, the ability of doing that is going higher and higher, right? So what are the different personalization variables like the industry you come from, the role that you're working in, the skills that that role needs, and where are you on those skills today? What is your level of proficiency? Are you at a beginner or an intermediate or an advanced level? The kind of language that you're comfortable with in getting the learning input in, um, you know and even when you as you go to the kind of AI agents or AI avatars that you're interacting with, even things like the skin tone of maybe a digital avatar or the accent of an avatar when they're speaking in a particular language to you, and the length of the content that you're comfortable. Are you more of someone who is comfortable reading the content, or are you more comfortable hearing it, or would you rather watch a video, or would you rather play a game? So there are a lot of nuances in terms of personalization, right? And we are finding that very, very quickly you're able to solve for all those nuances and achieve personalization to the power of one. uh, uh, and also, maybe just to give you one simple use case, right? You can even have situations where your AI avatar interacts with you in a different language, but while they are speaking to you in maybe say French, you're also able to get the transcript of their conversation with you in English, and you respond in English, but then that then gets converted back into French, and then it goes back to the other party, right? On a real time basis. So these kind of solutions are now almost at the fingers ends of most people, most organizations today, and therefore I think the potential of AI to make uh, your learning process more effective and make your learning solutions more effective, we are really going to be seeing a major transformation in that over the next year or so.
Right. Agree with you. I think as artificial intelligence evolves, I think so too will the learning development programs, even the teams and the overall technology. So this will massively enhance their ability to provide organizations with skill-ready and adaptable talent. And artificial intelligence is already augmenting workforce transformation efforts by helping employers develop and deploy skills at scale and speed. So I think moving forward in the future, AI-powered learning will become an integral part of the development of the entire workforce capacity, and putting skills and intellectual capacity on par with financial capital in terms of the strategic importance as well. Well, thank you so much, John. It was a pleasure having you with us on a podcast today, and thank you for giving us insights as to how different technologies, especially artificial intelligence, can play an important role in changing or transforming the landscape of learning and development, and probably how organizations can also leverage its power and AI-powered solutions to enhance their initiatives.
Thank you so much for having this interaction, Priya. It was a pleasure interacting here.
Great. Thank you so much, John. So this is for our listeners. Stay tuned for upcoming podcasts, and you can view all our on Spotify and the leading platforms. Thank you so much.